96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Revenue rises, but the deficit is up. The opposition says the government's economic projections are overly optimistic, though. And a bill tabled to allow government access and to use special drawing rights. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Laverne Gardner will be joining us. Also this morning, we are going to be talking with Christopher Davis about his new book, Black Rinse, a perspective on the history of the African diaspora in the Bahamas. And later in Morning Blend Business, we're going to be talking with IRCA. They have a number of initiatives they want to tell us about. And more. That's all straight ahead. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you were sleeping on the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, declaring that his administration's plans and strategies are working and that the era of fiscal mismanagement has come to an end, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Philip Davis reported in Parliament significant revenue gains in the first 6 months of the fiscal year. But the deficit also remained robust, coming in at $285.7 million, representing an increase of $7.8 million over the same period in the previous year. And as the government reins in the deficit in the second half of the year, it would come in just ahead of what was forecast. At the halfway mark in this fiscal year, the deficit stood at 50.6% of the budget forecast. For the first 6 months of the year, total revenue collections are estimated at $1.2 billion, which represents a $111.5 million increase over the same period for the prior year. To date, revenue collections account for 44.5% of the annual budget. The Prime Minister saying that revenue collections benefited from improved visitor activity within the tourism sector as economic conditions further improved to historical levels and in some cases surpassed pre-COVID levels. Meanwhile, the government's budgeted expenditure for travel and subsistence in the 2022-2023 fiscal year has increased from $14.8 million to $18.8 million. The increases, which include totals for both domestic and international travel and subsistence, total more than $3.9 million. The numbers are part of the government's revised figures in its 22-23 supplementary budget of draft estimates of revenue and expenditure. The largest increase is in the Office of the Prime Minister, which saw an increase from $625,424 to $2.6 million. Meanwhile, opposition leader Michael Pintard slamming the mid-year budget communication as overly optimistic, while he accused the government of making it more difficult for businesses to operate. Pintard telling reporters outside the House yesterday, quote, "We believe that they are wrong in terms of the kinds of projections that they are making." He pointed to the Prime Minister himself, indicating that a part of what he believes will spur the growth to provide the revenue that he has in mind would be small business development. Pintard suggested that a new policy requiring businesses earning less than $100,000 per year in revenue to provide proof of income is hurting small businesses. And Prime Minister Davis tabling legislation allowing for the government to legally access the special drawing rights allocated by the International Monetary Fund to member states in the aftermath of the COVID economic crisis. The Central Bank of the Bahamas Amendment Bill 2023 makes changes to Section 17 with the insertion of a new section to empower the Minister of Finance to access, utilize, or convert these special drawing rights, SDRs as they're known, for the purpose of reducing its foreign currency debt obligations and to manage its foreign currency debt obligations. In other news, a 29-year-old woman facing child neglect charges after her young children allegedly started a fire while home alone. The woman, who cannot be named to protect the identities of her children, went out on February 19th and left her 10-year-old daughter and 6-year-old son at home. The children allegedly accidentally started a house fire while cooking. At her arraignment before Senior Magistrate Cara Turnquest DeVoe, the mother denied the charges that she neglected her children and exposed them to unnecessary suffering and injury or injury to health. She was granted $7,000 bail and returns to court on March 24th. And a 41-year-old man accused of sexually assaulting a 10-year-old girl denied bail. Prosecutors allege that Darrell Forbes had unlawful sexual intercourse with the minor and indecently assaulted her on January 19th. Forbes was not required to enter pleas to the charges when he appeared before Magistrate Shaka Serville. He was remanded to prison because the magistrate lacks the jurisdiction to consider bail for the offense. However, he can seek bail in the Supreme Court. Forbes returns to court on June 20th when it's suspected that the matter will be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court for trial with the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. Additionally, Philip McCartney, a 40-year-old, appeared before Magistrate Kendra Kelly, charged with the rape of a 31-year-old woman. Prosecutors say the incident took place on February 19th. McCartney, who doesn't have a lawyer, was not required to enter a plea to the charge. That matter adjourned to May. Overseas from the U.S., a Central Florida television journalist and a little girl were fatally shot near the scene of a fatal shooting from earlier in the day. It happened on Wednesday yesterday. Orange County Sheriff John Mina saying during a press conference that they detained Keith Melvin Moses, a 19-year-old who they believe is responsible for both shootings in the Orlando area neighborhood. Besides the Spectrum News 13 journalist and the 9-year-old girl, a TV crew member and the girl's mother were wounded during the second shooting. They were in critical condition at a local hospital. Mina saying that the News 13 vehicle did not look like a typical news van with TV station markings. Deputies had initially responded to the Pine Hills area, just northwest of Orlando, on Wednesday, following reports of a woman in her 20s being shot. Moses, who was an acquaintance of the woman, but no connection to the reporters, were told. According to witnesses, the man approached the news vehicle later Wednesday and opened fire, hitting the two reporters. The man then walked to a nearby home and shot the mother and daughter. And Palestinian militants in Gaza launching rockets at southern Israel, and Israeli aircraft struck targets in the coastal enclave early today after a gun battle triggered by an Israeli raid in the occupied West Bank killed 10 Palestinians. The bloodshed extends one of the deadliest periods in years in the West Bank, where dozens of Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire since the start of the year. Palestinian attacks on Israelis in 2023 have killed 11 people. The Israeli military said Palestinian militants fired 6 rockets and 2 anti-aircraft missiles from the Gaza Strip toward the country's south early today. Air defenses intercepted 5 of the rockets and 1 landed in an open field. The missiles did not hit their targets, and the attacks were not immediately claimed by Palestinian militant groups. In sports, the Grand Bahama and Family Island teams tipping off play at the Hugh Campbell Basketball Classic at the Kendall Isaacs Gym. Securing a victory in the first ever tournament play was the Study Hall Academy Knights out of Grand Bahama. They took down the S.E. Boodle Dolphins out of Abaco, 65-32. The Patrick J. Bethel Marlins out of Central Abaco had a tough time against the Anatole Rogers Timberwolves, though, falling 54-18. Grand Bahama's 8 Mile Rock Blue Wick Jays easily won over Abaco's Agape Christian Eagles 50-35. In the final game of the early session, the Gateway Christian Academy Eagles out of Bimini got a 49-31 win over Grand Bahama's Bishop Michael Eldon Warriors. Action continues on day 4 today. At noon, teams will be eliminated in the afternoon session. More from basketball. The Bahamas senior men's national basketball team set to continue its play in the FIBA, the International Basketball Federation of America's World Cup qualifiers. They've got a rematch against Venezuela, this time in Caracas. That's going to happen this evening. The game gets underway at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch it on FIBA's YouTube page. The team arrived in Venezuela from early in the week and got some practices in with the head coach. From the last window, Moses Johnson. This is the first half of the final window of competition. The second half will be against Panama in Panama City on Sunday, in which the Bahamas will go after a sweep of that nation. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. Time for your first look at weather for today. We've got a persistent ridge of high pressure that will keep pleasant conditions across the country for the next few days. It's a rising spread of water over grounds during high tide, though, and so it's possible for people in coastal communities to experience this, so keep that in mind. For all areas today, forecast calls for sunny and very warm conditions with a slight chance of showers. Becoming fair and warm tonight, a bit breezy in the southeast Bahamas. For boaters, small craft should exercise caution in the southeastern islands. Wind southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots in the northwest and central Bahamas. Easterly at 15 to 20 knots in the southeast Bahamas. Seas 2 to 4 feet in the central and northwestern islands and 4 to 6 feet in the southeast Bahamas. We're looking at temperatures getting up to around 86 Fahrenheit today, 30 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 70 Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius. Another warm day ahead. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit.
Wake up
You are listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on your home for fresh news and smart talk all day. Guardian Radio 96.9.
You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
We're good for you.
Whether your business is in-store, on the go, or both, let Fidelity work with you to maximize your customers' payment options with a fixed or mobile terminal so that you never miss a sale. It's safer than cash and more convenient so that you can take your business anywhere. For details, contact a business development officer today at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport, or visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Welcome to the power of Visa, with access to thousands of travel and shopping and dining discounts with up to $1,500 in savings yearly with Mobile Assist's new prepaid Visa travel rewards cards. Book the cheapest flights, even cheaper than Orbitz and Expedia. Get cash back at participating hotels, car rentals with automatic insurance, and online shopping discounts at U.S. stores like Gap, Best Buy, and more. Get your 30-day free trial when you download our Mobile Assist app. Visit Mobile Assist/rewards now for your prepaid Visa travel rewards card.
At Doctors Hospital, our lamp just got brighter. The Loyalty Advantage membership program now has 3 unique plans to choose from. From Lamp Prepaid with free prime care visits and service line discounts, Lamp Insured with copay waivers and 0 upfront collections at the ER and inpatient services, or our new Lamp Access, a free plan that offers 10% off lab, pharmacy, and imaging. Lamp has a plan for everyone. To sign up, visit our website or give us a call. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now.
Well, look at Donna, little man, all grown up talking, but he making big money now. He finally gets some sense and enrolled in the BTVI Free Smart Start initiative. Only a few short weeks and he get construction certificate. He getting all kind of job now. All these boys, even them set on the family island, can choose from auto mechanics, beauty, construction, or fashion and get a Smart Start too. Call 502-6300 or email smartstart@btvi.edu.bs today.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit cfal.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Get your Carifta tickets. The 58th Carifta Games is coming. April 7th to April 10th. Tickets are on sale now. Online at Carifta50.com or at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium, Western Grand Entrance. For more details, email tickets@Carifta50.com or call 605-4051.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Laverne Gardner. Laverne, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hope you're doing well.
Yes, all is well.
That's good stuff there. We've got a lot happening today. Coming up in our 8 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with Christopher Davis, historian Christopher Davis. He told us about it the last time he was here. He's working on a book, and it's done. He's having a book signing today. The book is Black Rinse, a perspective on the history of the African diaspora in the Bahamas. We're going to talk to him about that this morning. Then later in Morning Blend Business, we are talking with IRCA. They've got a lot going on. They're going to tell us all about that, and we have a lot to talk to them about this morning as well. So that's all straight ahead. But let's begin with what else is in the news. And in the news, we'll get to what's in the papers in just a bit. Just want to say, everybody knows we've been talking about this for a long time here on Morning Blend, and more than a year, and it is so great to see that finally we have the Prime Minister, Prime Minister Philip Davis, with a proclamation. And I'm going to read it. So proclamation. Whereas the preamble of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas states, quote, we, the inheritors of and successors to this family of islands, recognizing the supremacy of God and believing in the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individuals, do hereby proclaim in solemn praise the establishment of a free and democratic sovereign nation founded on spiritual value, and in which no man, woman, or child shall ever be slave or bondsman to anyone, or their labor exploited, nor their lives frustrated by deprivation, and do hereby provided by these articles of the indivisible unity and creation under God of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and whereby the journey towards independence was punctuated by several significant and historical events prior to the attainment of independence, including the Burma Road Riot, the General Strike, Black Tuesday, the Women's Suffrage Movement, and Majority Rule. And whereas the Commonwealth of the Bahamas will observe its 50th anniversary of independence on the 10th of July, 2023, with events locally and internationally leading up to the Bahamas Golden Jubilee, and whereby the overarching responsibilities of the National Independence Secretariat is to inspire and inculcate the spirit of patriotism and civic values throughout the Bahamas while encouraging Bahamians to use their creativity and ingenuity in promoting Bahamian pride. Now, therefore, I, Philip E. Davis, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, do hereby proclaim Friday, the 24th of February, 2023, as 242 Day, and this was signed on the 21st day of February, 2023. And, hey, it's official. It's official now, folks. 242 Day. Hopefully we'll get him to proclaim it every year. But, so... I'm smiling. It's wonderful to see it, and so hopefully tomorrow people will show up and show out and do some wonderful Bahamian things. And already people telling us what they have planned to do, and some will be community minded, and others will be about fun. It's all good. And looking forward to it tomorrow. So hey, look at that. And we've got a special show planned for tomorrow. So tune in for that. And Solo's busy, and he has a new 242 day song, and we're gonna launch it tomorrow. And so it's just really shaping up to be so wonderful, and hopefully every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. February 24th, 242 day. So look at that, Laverne.
Hello? Can you hear me, Dwight?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yes, I'm very excited, and I wanted to say thank you to you.
Hey, it's great. It's great to see that it's coming together, and just want everybody to be out there and showing their pride. Take it on as a Flag Day. Just do something amazing. Do something amazing.
Yeah.
So
it is. It is. I don't know who else was talking about it, but I know that you always spoke about it.
Yeah.
And so thank you for not giving up.
yeah, right. And then that's a message to everybody out there. Right?
Yes.
Keep talking. Keep promoting. Keep doing things. Now I need to have a local government day, municipal government day. We're gonna do.
Well, Dwight, first you need to have a local government.
No, we didn't have a 242 day first, and right. So we just keep trying and pushing it, and then maybe 2-3 years later, everybody will get it and be a part of it, right? So, all right. So some people are just hearing about it now. Well, that's fine. I guess you were. Anyway, so what the heck is 242 day? Someone's texting. Is that like a 305 day? Yeah, it is like that. 242, the 24th day of the second month. It is, got our unique area code there. And so they go on to say, so this person, you got to find a way to, do we still banish? Can you banish people or just completely just, no? Anyway, this is a bunch of foolishness and dumbness that doesn't progress our country. We need a proclamation on these immigrants and NIB. This is nonsense. So we got to find this one and put them on the fastest thing getting out of the country. How about that? You like that? Okay.
How about we can walk and chew gum? We absolutely can. I know that it doesn't seem that way, but I'm proud to be part of the 242. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to celebrate that. Even in the midst of the issues that we have that need to be addressed, we can still be hopeful for what we know the 242 can become and what we already know that it is positively.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of the things the person's talking about, perhaps if we had more ways to express our pride, we'd realize that we do need to fix the things that are not working, right?
Right. If we celebrate those things that we do have and appreciate who we are, the possibilities that are available given the opportunities, what we've accomplished, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yeah. What are you going to be doing? What do you have planned?
I think I'm gonna of course, have Bahamian food. And that's first on the agenda. I may go to the beach and appreciate the beach. And I'll probably read something historical because I tend to love those kinds of things.
Yeah. So, that sounds good. Some more negative Nancy's here. Someone says here, great, seriously, in brackets for some reason, but nothing more than distraction. Oh, my Lord, have mercy. Now that they've recognized 242 Day, I'd like them to recognize the decade of competent policing and no more blatant running of red lights. Well, that's up to you, right? So that part there, yeah. Is it now a national holiday? No, not yet. Baby steps, texter. Baby steps.
Yeah, no, we're just recognizing it right now.
No, and we don't need any more reasons for you all to hop over to Miami or something. So, yeah. Okay. Now, if we can get the PM to make a proclamation that Dwight should read more of the text messages, it would be great. Only messing with you. Yeah, I have no problem with that, as long as they aren't stupid. But sure. And if we had more time. Another one says, I first heard of 242 Day on your morning show. You keep getting louder and louder. At one point, you began to shout it out. Great job. Really? Yeah. I don't think that's anyway. Great job because they are listening. We got it. 242 Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm so happy about it. That, you just kept talking about it. I got to say you kept talking about it. I don't know if it just other people in other spaces were talking as well, but I know that you use this platform to really promote that.
Use it as a template for other things. We got it right. We are the people, the voters are the most powerful lobbyist group in the country, right? Not just the folks with the big money and the suitcases that come into, right? Not just them. If more of us were to speak and push for things to happen, we'd be surprised what can happen. Guarantee you. This person says here, congratulations, Dwight, you did it. Well, anyway, still wish you would design a 242-day shirt. Good job. I told you this.
Yes, I told you about that.
It's not about, this is for the graphic artists out there. You do that. And again, I don't know if you need a shirt that says that specifically. I mean, that's fine, but as long as it's Bahamian colors, so more Bahamian themed shirts. Go out and do that. Creatives, producers, do that. You do that. This is about you. You don't see people in the States walking around with 4th of July shirts only, right? But we like to do that with our independent shirts, I guess. They do that so you have to buy a new one every year by putting the year on it and stuff and branding it 10 years, 30, 40, 50 years.
We are making a clarion call to all graphic designers, artists out there. Next year, let's have some designs for 242-day, please.
Sure. Yes. Or this year, you still might. No, not really. Anyway, okay, so we're going to leave that there. But remember, folks, tomorrow, don't forget, don't come out in red tomorrow. Come on, right? It's aquamarine. Can you say or turquoise? You get me shot.
No,
don't say
no.
Well, it's hard to find it. Aquamarine.
It's aquamarine.
Blue? Any shades of blue? No. Aquamarine. Black and gold.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. And flags. I need some flags. I'm going to get some flags today. All right, so let's move on. I want to quickly mention this, and then there's been something I wanted to talk about for days. And every day we have so much to talk about that I have not been able to get to, but I intend to do that this morning. We'll get to that in a moment. It's our colleague Jared Higgs at the CARICOM meeting last week asking the CARICOM leaders an amazing question and a great response. And if you are a regular listener to the show, you've known what I say should happen about France and Haiti. Well, we'll get to that in just a bit. Just want to quickly mention what the headlines are all about. In all the papers that are talking about it, revenue rises, but the deficit is up. And we learned a bit about the government's travel budget, just how much bigger it is compared to a few years back. All right, so this is the mid-year budget discussion that they're having in the House, and the Prime Minister declared that his administration's plans and strategies are working and that the era of fiscal mismanagement has come to an end. The Prime Minister, who's also the Minister of Finance, reported in Parliament yesterday significant revenue gains in the first 6 months of the fiscal year, but the deficit also remained robust, coming in at $285.7 million, representing an increase of $7.8 million over the same period in the previous year. Now, unless the government reins in the deficit in the second half of the year, would come in just ahead of what was forecast. The opposition is waving flags, though. Opposition Leader Michael Pintard slamming the mid-year budget communication, declaring that everything is overly optimistic and accused the government of making it more difficult for businesses to operate. Pintard saying, quote, "We believe that they are wrong in terms of the kinds of projections that they're making." And we refer to a few things. He said the Prime Minister himself indicated that a part of what he believes will spur the growth to provide the revenue that he has in mind would be through small business development. But he says this administration has failed to live up to what happened under previous administrations in providing support and credit to the small and medium-sized business sector. He also suggested that a new policy requiring businesses earning less than $100,000 per year in revenue to provide proof of income, he says that is hurting small businesses. Okay, that really has stuck out to me. Why would that? Why would that hurt the small businesses? Because they're not being truthful? I don't understand. Why would that hurt you to provide proof that you are making less than $100,000 per year?
Yeah, I don't have an explanation for you for that.
If anybody understands.
Because if you're a small business, aren't you keeping those types of records?
Right, and you should be able
Don't you know how much you make?
We should be able to look around and see that. Oh, yeah, clearly you are making more than 100,000, right? I don't get it. He also said, "Quote."
He's gonna have to, or I'm gonna need him to explain the line of thinking for that part of it, because.
Or other small business owners, if you feel that same way, give us a call right now. 323.
Right, and let us know why you feel that would be harmful.
323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. We had DIR, Department of Inland Revenue, on, and they say, they see some things, and they're like, you're not really. We don't believe you. We don't believe you that you're making under $100,000. You're far too big. You got too many locations. You've got too much. Why are you even in business then? But interesting. Pintard also saying, quote, "We believe that this government has unleashed burdens on the business sector. One example is the inability for many businesses to now have access to licenses because of layers of requirements placed on them by the Davis administration. This administration has increased electricity costs, overall fuel costs by 163%. So this will affect both residents and as well as small as businesses, and that is going to be felt throughout the economy. And that will be a drag on business and potentially a drag on economic growth." All right, we've got a call. Let's see if they can answer that question for us. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning, caller. Hi, are you there? Hear me.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well.
Ms. Gardner, how are you?
Good morning. I'm well.
I will not be a hypocrite. I call in to congratulate Mr. Strachan on his agitation on 242. I am also a person that listened to his passion on that. Now I want him to join me on the passion of the traditional family structure day. My brother Dwight, I call upon you now. We need to promote the family. We see what's going on in the family, and we see the erosion. So I want you to join me in promoting that day, a beautiful Sunday, where we can gather our family, husband, wife, children, and we all go in one place, and we get a good pastor who is anointed by the Lord to preach about the family. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, who will that be? I'm sure the list is. Anyway, yeah, that sounds wonderful. Okay, all right. Yeah, what day? What day is it going to be? Did he say?
No, he just said a Sunday.
Yeah.
But he didn't pick like a month or whatever. So.
Let's do it. Good morning, caller on the air. Okay, all right. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. The people got to be married, right, to each other. Right? Yeah, so that
Dwight,
that'll be a challenge. But yes, it's a good thing. We should do it. Absolutely. What were we going to say?
Dwight, you're being a little messy.
No, I'm just pointing out some realities that we have to address. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. By the way, it's 22323. That's kind of cool too, isn't it? No? Okay. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, morning. What's up, man? Dwight? Congratulations on pushing for the
No, it's not about me, but congratulations to the baby people. This is another day. Yes.
Maybe you could push and get loud enough for the Freedom of Information Act.
Oh, maybe I should.
Because obviously they listen to you.
Well, we'll see. That's a good idea.
And in terms of this business license, right? I think special consideration should be made, in particular for Grandmama and Abazo, family that we just came off Dorian, and we had COVID to deal with. So, to these two islands in particular, some kind of consideration should be made. We just had a bad couple of years. You know, and me in particular, I have already lost 2 contracts because I don't have a current business license to renew. Now, they saying the license is good until March, but when you deal with an international company, they want to see your current business license to renew.
Oh, boy.
So, me personally, this is affecting me personally. So, this whole thing is ridiculous because you could look at somebody's history, and like you say, just look at their business. You can see if this person is doing pretty good or not. So this, I mean, it has affected my business personally.
Wow. So what are they saying? What's the latest update that you've received? What's up?
Well, I applied for it the first couple of days after January. It took them till January 20-something to ask me for financial report. I gave them the financial report like a day later, and I haven't heard from them since. Like January 20th, I gave them the financial report, and I haven't heard from them since. Not even a thank you, we received it, nothing. I sent a couple follow-up emails. I called. Nobody never answers the phone. So, hey, this is where I'm at.
Wow. I hope this gets resolved for you very soon. Boy, that's a lot. Thank you very much. Appreciate you sharing it. Okay. Wow. Take another call. Good morning, call. You're on the air. Are you there? No. Okay. All right. This more though on what we learned yesterday. So people have been joking about it. Some not joking. They're very angry about it. The amount of travel that it seems folks within the administration are doing, especially the prime minister. And so we got to see some insight into the travel budget. Our Travis Cartwright Carroll writing about this. The government's budgeted expenditure for travel and subsistence in the 22-23 fiscal year has increased from $14.8 million to $18.8 million. The increases, including totals for domestic and international travel and I'm having a problem with this word all day. Subsistence, again, total more than $3.9 million. The numbers are part of the government's revised figures for the supplementary budget of draft estimates and revenue expenditure. Prime Minister Davis tabled the report yesterday, along with the mid-year budget performance. There are increases in several ministries and departments, the largest increase in the Office of the Prime Minister, which saw an increase from $625,424 to $2.6 million. The House of Assembly's travel and subsistence budget increased from $148,850 to $164,350. So is that a big deal? We know that they do need to travel. Folks need to get out there, get the message out there, try and drum up awareness around the world. Investors. Are we concerned about that? Is that something we do need to be concerned about? People say it often, but is that being short-sighted? What do you say? 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. By the way, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs saw an increase from $109,200 to $259,200. And the Department of Immigration saw increases from $1.9 million to $2.1 million. All right. Let's go to the phone lines again. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
And Lauren.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hi, yeah, we can hear you. Hi, we can hear you.
Yes, Dwight. Yeah, first of all, let me say congratulations, man. You know, you really hit it. You was fighting for it for a couple of years. And congratulations, man. You know, that really goes to say that, show they listening, right? But they just didn't want to hear some of the things we used to say. But congratulations.
But they might be listening still, so that's good.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay. All right, that's it. Thank you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning. Are you there? Hi, good morning. No, okay. All right. Text messages. The This person says here, Dwight, the government is coming hard at small businesses. As a small businessman, I have no problem with this, but milking us just for them to travel has to be a sin. It hurts at times. Now, that's not fair to say, right? You think that's fair to say that milking you just so they can travel? I don't think that's right. But they are looking under every rock and crevice to find some money.
And I think that's the feeling that everybody's getting. Is like you just squeezing. People feel as if they're being squeezed every single dime, every single dollar. And so perhaps that is why there is a resistance to submit these documents, to submit these financial reports, because maybe there's a fear that you're going to turn around and use this against me somehow, or turn around and use this information and I'm going to end up having to pay more than I'm already paying for whatever.
Wow.
So I think maybe perhaps there's a fear of that, and so it's like, okay, when I submit this information, what happens now?
Yeah.
Are you going to look at this information and say, you know what? You are making more than 100,000. You absolutely do have to pay that. Are you going to look at this and say, okay, we can increase this license fee because, people in small business seem to be doing reasonably well, whatever that marker is. And so that may be the kind of thoughts that people are having.
No.
And how is this? Am I providing you with the gun? Or at least the bullet to put in the gun that you're going to use on me later?
But if you are making more than 100,000, I mean, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you?
It's the right thing to do. It's the law, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that the thought may be that you're going to increase my taxes or increase certain fees for me. And people are just small business owners may just be very fearful that whatever they submit, whether it's 100,000, they make a year more or less, it's going to come back. The government may use the information to put more fees on them.
Yeah. Callers will come to you in just a second. Just want to read a couple of these messages. This person says here, the proof should not be a condition for business license renewal. The DIR compliance and monitoring unit should be investigating anomalies, but it should not hold a business license renewal. This texter says, travel is okay, just don't take everyone and a ma. Okay. Well,
yeah, and
some of our politicians still need their mother, clearly.
Listen, I think it'll be unrealistic of us to say that we do not expect the prime minister or different cabinet ministers to travel from time to time. I think the issue comes in when it looks like it's happening so frequently, which may be coincidental. Maybe a lack of understanding of why you're traveling, and then also the entourage that goes with you when you travel. These are things that we take into question, that even if the travel is justified, or, when you're taking 15 people, 20 people, like, how do we justify that? Even though you may send photos of you and the people seemingly engaged in high-level talks, which I'm always suspicious of, but okay.
This texter says, if you're going to milk me as a small business person, can you not allow me to participate in lucrative contracts as opposed to only giving you cronies? I suspect our word was inserted that shouldn't be here. Yeah.
Can you
allow me to participate? Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to say. Okay. Let's take these calls and we've got to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight, and good morning, Laverne.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Pre-2-4 day to both of you.
Yes. Okay, you too.
Right, my issue and my question is, does the Prime Minister's office come under the portfolio of the Auditor General?
The auditor would have able to, yes, to everything.
Get any kind of audited reports on how monies were spent in the Prime Minister's office?
I'm sure. I can't say for certain, but I'm sure we do. I'm sure we have.
We should be facilitating giving more money on the travel allowances to the Auditor General so he can go around and effectively do his job to see where the people's money and how the people's money is being spent. You know, Dwight, if we take the $17 billion that we're paying out for litigation fee every year and put that into sovereign wealth fund, you know, in a matter of time, each Bahamian at least could get $1,000 a year. You realize that? But they ain't thinking about us, you know. Only thinking about their travel and their friends, family, and lovers. And one other thing, Dwight, I know this may not be on your agenda, but Mr. Ryan Pinder, he is out of order, man. He's overstepping his bounds. The House of Assembly is an establishment that is established by the Constitution of the Bahamas. The Attorney General does not have any kind of jurisdiction over the House of Assembly. That's a self-governing body. So he needs to stay out of the House of Assembly's business. These are not judicial laws that came from the Attorney General. So he needs to stay in his lane so that the people can know what is going on with our money.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you there? No, let's take this one. Good morning. Are you there? Okay, all right. Some folks are saying they're getting some errors when they call in. Okay, we'll have that. We'll have our folks look into that and see what's going on. This person says here, this is, I guess, responding to small businesses, showing us why this is an issue. Yeah, they're saying it depends on what proof entails. Do they need to pay a certified accountant with money they don't have? Asking why you're still in business is like asking someone who's living paycheck to paycheck why they go to work. Is it? I don't think it is. No, it would be asking someone who has more money than the country why they still go to work. That may be, right? But okay. But anyway, let me continue with your text. Maybe this is the only way they can earn $1 while it's not sufficient. It allows them to eat. I guess I see what you're saying. Okay. All right. Sure. It depends on how, on your net profit, how many companies around here are making millions and reporting zero profit. And that's what Inland Revenue is saying, that they can see that companies are making a whole lot more than that and claiming they only make barely $99,000 or something. But you go on to say, for a small business, paying VAT on very thin profit margins might mean no rent or food money. Inland Revenue needs to change the VAT assessment to net profit, or at minimum take account of the expenses a business incurs. The way they're going to sink the entire small business sector. Okay, interesting. Interesting point. And this person here says, great job on pushing and never giving up on the 242-day idea. It does remind us that when you have a voice, you should use it for the benefit of the people. Don't stop using it to push for local government for New Providence. Acknowledge also that Lincoln Bain did the same thing with his voice to bring the long overdue and much needed focus on illegal immigrants and the shantytown problem to light. Okay, all right, Dexter. Let's take a break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
When 16 come, they hook for sure. Just a little bit more. Whatever you give, they still want more. Just a little bit more. Check out, the more I get, hey, the more I want. That's right, the more I get, still, the more I want. Some people, they never get enough, and they don't care if times are tough. This them, the more I get, the more I want, the more I get, still.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It is time for your first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. RBC's mortgage specialist can provide helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. In your real-time traffic this morning, Milo Butler Highway, as usual, heavy traffic from Fire Trail straight up to Tawny Gwims Darling Highway and the northbound lanes there. We're seeing some build-up on Fire Trail eastbound to the roundabout. And at Tawny Gwims Darling Highway as well, westbound to the roundabout with Milo Butler Highway. Glass Road looking much better as a much better alternate route for you this morning. Not much to talk about there, actually. Not until you get to around Munnings Road, you're going to see a line in front of you heading toward the roundabout with JFK Drive. Westbound on Carmichael is busy, heading toward Coral Harbor Road, and eastbound as you make your way to Blue Hill Road. Blue Hill Road, just north of Soldier Road, especially looking congested for you as you approach Independence Drive. Independence Drive backed up in both directions, especially westbound at this hour. Elsewhere, we've got pockets along Shirley Street, especially as you approach Mackey Street and Wolf Road at various spots, seeing some congestion, and Bernard Road and along Prince Charles Drive, but definitely not looking so bad today. Quite a few schools are on midterm break, so not too challenging a commute this morning compared to normal. So that's good news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist. And time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Grosvenor Medical Center. We've got a persistent ridge of high pressure, keeping pleasant conditions across the country, and that will continue for the next few days. Along coastal communities, though, we're seeing rising water over grounds during high tide, so we'll keep that in mind during the day. For all areas, your forecast today, sunny and very warm with slight chances of showers becoming fair and warm tonight, a bit breezy in the southeast Bahamas. Small craft caution in effect for the southeastern islands. Temperatures today getting up to around 86 Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius. Overnight lows getting down to around 70 Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure will continue to be the dominant weather feature. So for tomorrow, Friday, mostly sunny and warm, breezy in the central and southeast Bahamas, a great day for 242 day. And then Saturday, mostly sunny and warm, breezy in the central and southeastern islands. That's your Morning Blend weather check brought to you by Grosvenor Medical Center. Screening for colorectal cancer should begin at the age of 45. Reduce your risk for colon cancer and schedule your colonoscopy today at reduced prices for the months of March and April at the office of Dr. Harold Munnings, located next to Princess Margaret Hospital. They're offering an even lower price for those who present their NHI cards. So call them at 328-5550 Grosvenor Medical Center.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Whether you're looking for your first or new home or even using your existing home as equity, RBC understands that your journey to home ownership is unique and your mortgage financing should reflect that. That is why at RBC we have dedicated mortgage specialists that provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. Best of all, the RBC mortgage team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
Florida Auto Parts can deliver all the auto parts your car will ever need, direct from the USA and from around the world. Florida Auto Parts provides fast delivery on auto parts, and we ship throughout the Bahamas, genuine or aftermarket, new or used, and all for the best price. Call Florida Auto Parts Trusted Parts Rep on WhatsApp at 1-786-772-8777 to save on your next auto parts purchase. Florida Auto Parts, the right parts at the right price.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
With so much going on in the world today, only accepting cash at your business can be risky. Let Fidelity offer you and your customers safety, convenience, and the flexibility of a fixed or mobile terminal. Take it with you, on the move and on the go. because business should never stop. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit us at any of our branches.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Some people never get enough. Just a little bit more. And they don't care if times are tough. Just a little bit more. This them. The more I get, hey, the more I want. Oh yeah. The more I get, the more I want. Children always cry when they want more. Just a little bit more. This starts before the age of.
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. Let's take these calls quickly. Want to get to these text messages, and then I do want to get to the other issue I want to talk about this morning. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Are you there?
Yes, hello?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Doing well.
Good. Listen, I just have a quick thing there. If the, the Minister for Sports, Sports and Culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said they're going to do some work to the sports center, right?
Right.
But if you notice what he said you got to watch how these fellas talk, okay? He said they're going to do some cosmetic work. They're not going to do renovation. They're going to do some cosmetic work. So cosmetic work is just little facial stuff like that. But yet you're going to spend $2.8 million on cosmetic work. That don't even include for the track, which is an additional $800,000. So right there you're looking at almost $400 million. $4 million, right? Secondly, you don't know who's getting this contract. You don't know if the person who's getting the contract could do the work. Some of these guys get contract and then sub it out. So then the Prime Minister is going to come yesterday and said, okay, the physical mismanagement has come to an end. How can you claim that the physical mismanagement has come to an end if you have no one who could check what you're spending, no oversight? The gentleman, the opposition want to find out who's getting contract, who's not getting contract, how much the contract is for, but yet you're saying physical mismanagement has come to an end.
Yeah, you're raising some interesting points. Thank you very much. We do have the Auditor General, but of course it seems to be oftentimes many years after the fact. But fiscal management coming to an end. We've heard many similar things before. We'll see. But great points you're raising. I think time is an issue with the stadium as well. It's already the end of February. I almost had Olympics. Wow. The CRIFTA game. If anyone would try to host the Olympics, it would be a PLP administration that would try to host the Olympics here. You know that, right? Anyway, but the CRIFTA games are in less than 2 months. Easter weekend, that's early in April. And so there's not much time, but those problems have been there for years. That is true, right? And they're scary looking, to tell you the truth. But yeah, great points you're raising. Anybody know why they've put up a Christmas tree by the... I don't... Yeah. Is it like, what is it, going to be a CRIFTA tree or something? What is it? It's a Christmas tree, though. Just put that up. I don't understand.
They just put up a Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Where?
It's on the north side, nearby, not too far from the Hope Center.
Is it hiding something?
It's right there by the road. It's very strange. I don't understand. Maybe ornaments from all the countries. Maybe.
I don't know
what it's about. It's very strange. Very strange. Okay. We need the opposition to ask them that next time they get question and answer time. Okay. So
but make sure they ask it to the right person.
Right.
Because if they don't,
the right minister. They're saying is it an Easter tree? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, business.
A tree.
I don't know what's happening.
I've never heard of that.
No, that's a joke. That's a joke. It's definitely a joke. But anyway, businesses can build a relationship with their bank and run an overdraft facility in this country, hundreds of accounts run overdraft facilities and are only surviving because they have these facilities. A lot of companies don't make any profit whatsoever. So if you are an individual with no bank is going to give you an overdraft facility. Unfortunately, in the Bahamas, many business persons pay their personal expenses through their businesses, and they have no personal line of credit. This leads to a bigger question of the relationship between banks and their clients that we have yet to have in this country. Okay. And this text before we go to the news. This person says here, congratulations, Dwight. Pat on the back for your persistence with 242 Day. Now, do you think the powers that be have selective deafness in hearing the 242 Day idea, but not the well-researched and committed local government for New Providence idea? Oh, boy. I have many theories on that. I know they hear it and they know about it, and I'm sure many see the benefits, but it will require massive changes in the country and in mentalities, right? It's going to be a big adjustment, and many of them aren't prepared. And because they're not hearing from many people, only a few, they think you all aren't prepared. You know? Oh gosh, wait, is this true? It's an oak tree because oak tree is the sponsor. Are you sure?
Oh,
what?
Okay.
We love Oak Tree, but still. Okay, we'll be back after the news.
This is 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. And now at 8:20, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here is what's happening. We've got a persistent ridge of high pressure that will keep pleasant conditions across the country for the next few days. We're also expecting that during high tide, you could see some water, some groundwater inundation, coastal inundation, so keep that in mind if you're in coastal communities. For all areas today, sunny and very warm with a slight chance of a shower, becoming fair and warm tonight. Breezy in the southeast Bahamas, small craft caution in the southeastern islands. Temperatures today getting up to around 86 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius, another hot day in store. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 70 Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius. We're already up into the upper 70s at this hour. In your extended outlook, high pressure will continue to be the dominant weather feature. So for Friday, 242 Day, we've got mostly sunny and warm conditions, breezy in the central and southeastern islands. Saturday, mostly sunny and warm, breezy in the central and southeastern islands. That's your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Visit firstonlineinsurance.com and select a Bahamas First agent to purchase, pay, or renew your car or home insurance 100% online, or just stop by any Bahamas First agent. Bahamas First, celebrating 40 years as the first Bahamian general insurance company. What's first for you comes first for us. And we got another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. RBC's mortgage specialist can provide helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. A reminder about the town hall meeting for Gladstone Road, the Gladstone Road Improvement Project. That's going to be next week. Next week, Tuesday, at the National Training Center at 6 p.m. So you can get some information on what that project will entail. Tuesday at 6 p.m. In your real-time traffic right now, Milo Butler Highway still seeing some heavy traffic from about Fire Trail all the way up to Tawny Williams Darling Highway, and traffic is backed up along Tawny Williams Darling Highway westbound to that roundabout with Milo Butler Highway. But again, Gladstone Road looking like a totally different story. Not much to talk about there until you get to near Munnings Road in the northbound lane, heading toward JFK Drive northbound. Elsewhere, things don't look like they normally do, as quite a few schools are on midterm break right now, but you've got Blue Hill Road, just north of Soldier, still seeing some heavy traffic there on the way to the roundabout with Independence Drive, and East Street between Soldier Road and the roundabout with East-West Highway and Independence Drive looking busy for you northbound, and pockets along Burnett Road and Eastern Road just west of Fox Hill up to about Johnson Road, but definitely manageable today. That's your real-time traffic and your Morning Blend traffic alert, brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist. We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. Reminding you that tomorrow it's officially been proclaimed now by the Prime Minister 242 Day, the 24th day of the second month, 242 Day. And hopefully that'll be a thing every year, February 24th. And so we are encouraging you to show your Bahamian pride, to fly your flags tomorrow, wear your Bahamian flag colors, eat Bahamian food, listen to Bahamian music, create Bahamian music. Donate in sequences of 242. Do something 242 times or even 2.42 times. And merchants, why not sell your items? A special one-day price at $2.42 or $24.20 or $242, etc. Have fun with it. Tomorrow, 242 Day, Bahamas. Let's do this. All right. So we're getting sidetracked, Laverne, but this is fascinating, right? So I told you about the Christmas tree. I'm wondering if I'm under a lot of stress, so I wonder if I'm okay. When I say that, is that a Christmas tree? But everyone is seeing it, so it's not just me. People saying here, I'm at the stadium daily, and I don't know why they're putting up that tree. And somebody else says, yeah, I thought I was seeing things too. What is the tree? All right, so one of our listeners sent us some information. We've got a video from the local organizing committee head, Lyndon Maycock, a good friend of the show. But listen to this explanation from Lyndon Maycock himself as to what's happening at the stadium.
We are getting ready for the 58th Carifta Games that will be held on the Easter holiday weekend, April 7th to the 10th. And what you see here, what we are creating is, since it's the Easter holiday weekend,
yes, sir.
We decided to do the Chronicles, the life of Christ.
Okay.
And so, we pride ourselves on being a Christian nation. And so the Christ is born, Christ has died, Christ is risen, and Christ will come again. And so we're creating a 3D effect here where you see the manger We actually gonna have live animals in that manger. So
wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, that is powerful indeed. And so we're gonna bring the kids. We want to bring the kids out to see all the live animals, and so you come this way.
Well, Bahamas, this is where we at. Yeah, we're down here by the Sports Center. Getting ready for the 50th anniversary of Carifta.
Yeah, right.
Wow. I mean, great things are happening.
Great things are happening. And so, right here is going to be the manger.
Okay, this is where Christ was born.
That's right.
In the manger.
In the manger.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, Bahamas, this is it.
This is it. And so we are getting ready to erect a 50-foot tall, the largest cross in the history of the Bahamas.
Wow.
That's going to be up a 50-foot tall, largest cross. These were made from wood that being with this is the old rugged cross.
The old rugged cross, Bahamas. This is the largest cross in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Ever. So in the history of the world.
History of the world. And so we're going to erect that.
Oh, is that the end there? Oh, okay. Laverne, you should talk. I need a moment.
All right. Well, interesting idea, for lack of a better word, or should I say, because that's not really the word that I want to use, but interesting idea. My hope, though, is that in the midst of doing that, we make sure that we are ready to go for things that will impact the quality of the Carifta Games this year. So my hope is that we have everything that we need to make sure that we put on a quality show or have quality games, and that we are not hearing in the middle of it, we didn't have X, Y, and Z, we didn't have the next, this was a problem, that was an issue. Because this just to me seems like, and this is only my opinion, it just seems to me like, we have this extra money, what we can do with it? I know. Let's have a manger and a 50-foot cross.
And a Christmas tree in April. But hey, we love those guys over there, though. I'm wearing my gold Carifta shirt today, and we support them. We're just trying to figure it out. We're all on the same team there. But maybe they're onto something. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I don't know. It's fine and well to say you want to do that, I guess. But I also just want us to make sure that we have everything that we need to put on these games. That's to me, that's very important. That's hugely important.
Let's take this call really quickly. Got to move on. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight. Good morning, Laverne.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Dwight, I've been following your 242 idea. It's very good. I'm glad it's coming into fruition. I hope Amy bite into it.
I hope so too.
And maybe what you and Dr. P can do is combine the traditional family day along with Amy Family Day with 242 Day, and make it one event.
Hey.
The Christmas tree, I can't really get on the fellas for doing what they're doing, but I'll give them the history of the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree is used in pagan celebrations. And the days in December of that part of the year was getting shorter. The pagans thought that they was going to lose, that the world was coming to an end. However, around the 24th, 25th of December, the days started to get longer. So they was looking around for something to celebrate that the days are getting longer. So they chose the Christmas tree because it was evergreen. It's an evergreen tree. And then they put the balls on it to celebrate all the planets and stuff like that. So I know if Jesus comes, he'll recognize what's going on there. You know what I mean? I would put the cross or put something else.
Well, they're putting the cross. It's a giant cross they're putting as well. So got everything.
But
and the manger with the live animals. So.
But if you have the nativity scene, do you really even need the Christmas tree?
Well, that's what I say. The pagans introduced that into the Roman Catholic Church when the church merged. There's some of their stuff they brought into the church. And Easter and the Christmas celebration with the trees was one of them. You see?
Yeah, Easter
and
as
that's
well.
what happened.
Yeah.
But okay then, thanks for taking the
All
call.
right. Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it. All right. Just a couple messages as we go to the break. This person says here, Mr. Strachan, congratulations on the 242 Day campaign. Please continue your campaign for local government in New Providence. Many of the problems on New Providence are dealt with by local government in the real world. Absolutely. Keep saying that to you. If we really expect central government to do something about the public transportation issue, you're in for a very long wait. And that needs to be municipal, something led by municipal government. But hey, this text here, I find the idea of forcing religion into Carifta highly offensive and laughable and embarrassed for the nation. Well, we'll see how it goes. It's just an interesting concept,
keep
you know.
me-
It's good
keep
to
me
know. It's good
posted
for
on that,
everyone to
Dwight.
know what's in the thinking. So we're not confused. But okay. Let's take a break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. When we come back, we're talking about an exciting new book. He's been telling us about it for a little while, and we finally, today he's signing copies of it. He's always brought one too. Okay, we're going to get into this with Christopher Davis right after the break. Stay with us.
I love to see them girls on the beach. And when them start to wind it down, no man want live. 7 to 3
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
242 Day, February 24th. It's 242 Day. Proud to be Bahamian. Represent your Bahamian pride on 242 Day. Wear your national flag colors or Bahamian prints. Enjoy delicious Bahamian dishes, rake and scrape with Bahamian music, art, and entertainment all day long. Be sure to post those photos with hashtag 242 Day, hashtag Celebrate Bahamas. Friday, February 24th. Check the calendar, cause it's 242 Day.
University of the Bahamas is where greatness grows. Apply now to join a community of strong learners and leaders. The deadline to apply for undergraduate admissions has been extended to Tuesday, 28th of February, 2023. The online application process is easy. Simply visit www.ub.edu.bs and click on Apply Now. You can also browse our many academic programs, and if you have questions, email admissions@ub.edu.bs. University of the Bahamas, preparing students for better lives in a dynamic global society.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Whether your business is in store, on the go, or both, let Fidelity work with you to maximize your customers' payment options with a fixed or mobile terminal so that you never miss a sale. It's safer than cash and more convenient so that you can take your business anywhere. For details, contact a business development officer today at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport, or visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
It's a time of year again, and Rev wants to send you and the guests to Portland for the NBA VIP All Access Experience. Rev customers can enter to win an all-expense-paid trip for two to see the Boston Celtics and the LA Clippers take on the Portland Trail Blazers March 14th to March 20th. Sign up or upgrade to Rev Trail Plus today to enter to win the NBA VIP All Access Experience to Portland. Rev, made for the game.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Old pirates, yes, they rob I. Sold I to the merchant ships. minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. We're very pleased to have him here with us again, Christopher Davis, and his new book, Black Rinse, a new perspective on the history of the African diaspora in the Bahamas. And of course, he has a very special title as well. Nana Safohini John Kwa II.
Well, you look at it the best. You say it the best out of everybody, Dwight.
Always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, sir. Simply put, John Canoe II. I think that would be more familiar to many people. Thank you for having me on.
And congratulations for the book.
Yes, thank you.
You've been telling us about it for a little bit.
Oh, yeah. It's been a long time coming, you know, and the research has just been so explosive, you know, that that's actually what delayed the book. You know, it's just so much stuff that we were finding and that we had to include. So much things that we were finding that tweaked the story, changed the story in a positive way, actually. And it took, you know, many of my advisors, Robin Lightbourne, Michael Pavin, they said, listen, man, just publish this book. And you write another book with a lot of information, right? And I said, yeah, you're right. And then so it's here now. And, you know, I heard what was being spoken about right before I came on, you know, and I think a book like this would really help those people who planning these cultural events, you know, Carifta, bragging about the biggest cross, you know, and it is actually embarrassing if you have a firm grasp on these diplomatic relations and the fact that even in the Bahamas, everybody is not a Christian and everyone is not even of the same denomination. You have Christian denominations that don't even use the cross. You have all of these things going on. And we lack so much knowledge of self and so much self-hate and hatred of our Africanness that in order for us to show our Bahamianness, we got to show Christianness as if they are one and the same, of which they are not. And furthermore, you know, I guess I feel a little braver now because my book published, you know. But you know,
let it out.
I'm not trying to cast any aspersion on any particular person, you know. But the other day they had a march with a bunch of young ladies, little girls. I think they was ranging from like 5 all the way up to like high school age, celebrating Black history. They marched past the Black stronghold communities, past, you know, Meeting Street and these other places. Of course, they walked straight past Pompey Square and Pompey Museum, and then they took them to Christ Church Cathedral, right? Now, what does Christ Church Cathedral represent? One of the oldest Anglican churches, right? And literally, some of the colonists and the worst enslavers in the Bahamas, they are entombed on that property. So we are literally taking our little girls to celebrate Black History Month in the Anglican Church. And it's not even the predominant Christian denomination. We are predominantly Baptists. And that segues me into exactly what we're going to talk about, what should have been celebrated. Even if you might have your grievances about the church or not, but if you're going to go to a church, go to Bethel Baptist Church. Bethel Baptist Church represents
Black History Month.
Right, the proverbial finish line of the Saltwater Underground Railroad, where hundreds, perhaps even thousands of African Americans, Bayesians, Jamaicans, Haitians, all of these different people came to the Bahamas and found freedom. Particularly African Americans for almost a full century. Bethel Baptist Church, founded in 1790, the second oldest Black separatist congregation, with a long line of generational heroic pastors. Now, the pastors who was running Christ Church Cathedral were our slave masters, to put it plain and bluntly. You understand? And so we really have to start to question, you know, what do we value in this country? Because, and there's a lot of misinformation out there spreading. And Chapter 9 actually deals with the relationship between Haiti and the Bahamas. And, you know, to again put it plain and simply, we hate Haitians in this country, and I say it bluntly, well, many of us do, hate Haitians in this country, simply put, because we have adopted the sentiments, again, of our slave master.
We were told to do that.
Thank you. And in 1797, as a matter of fact, there was a blatant attempt by Bahamians and Haitians to actually overthrow the government, the colonial government of the Bahamas, which would have made the Bahamas the first black republic almost a full decade before Haiti became it. So our Haitian xenophobia is actually rooted in the fact that we tried to free ourselves. The slave master put a ban on French Negroes. All these French Negroes coming in, and they are not. And now there's this sentiment where if you have a British surname, you're straight. But if your surname sound French, you ain't straight, right? And so what we telling our brothers is, oh, my slave master was British, so therefore I'm better than you. You understand? And so we really have to, and I don't mean to just come right out segueing like that, right? But I just, there's something that's been on my chest, and a lot of this is actually broken down in this book. And what the book does is, not only does it give us this new perspective on our history, so to speak, it also places the Bahamas on the map in the broader discussion within the history of the African diaspora, ways that we contributed to the fight against the Ma'afa, the Swahili word for the ongoing genocide against African people globally, right?
I want to talk about some of the things in the book, especially the title in just a bit, but I can imagine there are people listening who are saying, this happened years ago, we can move on beyond that, why dwell on that? We're trying to build a nation of all of us together, and looking back at that stuff might cause a divide. What do you say to people who are thinking that?
Oh, well, I will gladly say that, first of all, we are already divided in many ways, and that history is what actually divided us. Particularly when it comes to black history, the history of the African diaspora, there's always this blatant attempt to separate history, right? Yet we believe in a book that was written 2,000 years ago, unequivocally, right? But we can do something that's directly connected to us, what happened less than 200 years ago in the same geographical space. Put that on the side. Simple question. Would it be better that we remain ignorant of some of these facts? So just to segue into one of the parts of the book, there's this harmful rumor that was even told to me by my old grandfather. So I'm not here like some arrogant fella, like I am so untouched by colonization because I am so, I'm a historian. No, my last name is Davis. You know, I'm not Welsh, you understand? I'm speaking English right now. You know, I love Manchester United. Maybe that is a part of my, the batches of my colonial mindset.
Right.
Or maybe it's a genuine love for soccer. Who knows, right? However, we have to realize this harmful rumor I'm talking about is the one about Queen Victoria freeing the slaves, right? She went to a man by the name of Nathan Rothschilds, okay, one of the major banking companies. So this ain't no conspiracy theory, Rothschilds, pyramid, all CNI stuff. This is historical fact. Queen Victoria went to a man named Nathan Rothschilds. He gave her a loan of what would have been about $22 billion today. And that money was used to purchase us in Jamaica, Anguilla, Antigua, all the British colonies from our slave masters. People like John Roll and the Mosses and all of these different families, many of whom we see as the patriarchs of our family, which again is kind of embarrassing. But side note, right? This is where this myth came from about Queen Victoria freeing the slaves. Now, they like to separate our past from the present. Now, this interest in the bill that was footed from this was paid by the by the British public.
Right.
You know when they stopped paying this bill? In 2016. Right? 2016.
My goodness.
Right. So when we talking about these things, you can't separate it. Your name is Strachan. I think that's a Scottish name, right?
So they tell me.
And my brother, you don't look Scottish to me.
I'm sure I don't.
You look like you could be in the cast of Black Panther, you know, or something like that.
Somewhere deep in Wakanda.
Right, you know, right. So we have to, and it's not about hatred or anything like that. And this segues into words like reparations and things like that. When it comes to what happened to us, we have to realize that it was a genocide. It was not any easier or any better here in the Bahamas than anywhere else. Right. And we get into that in the book too. I don't want to focus too much on that. I'll let people
sorry, Mr. Davis, sorry to interject because it's always so interesting. I really enjoy when you are here as a guest.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sure you talked about it before, but what really spurred your passion to know our history, our real history, and then to go on to write about it?
Well, it happened at a very young age. So since I was in my late teens, I was very, I questioned my teachers and all of this stuff. I was always like that. And then as me and my friends began to grow, there's actually a group, I don't know if they'd appreciate me calling their name, but it's actually a group of Rastafarian brethren who I actually credit. I'll call one of their names, Priest Tafari Thompson. And he was a guy that really exposed me to that, as well as my older brothers and one of my uncles, because they always listening to the conscious reggae. But unlike other people who just listen to the beat and all that, I was always gravitating towards Capleton, and I wondering why Capleton seems to have so much hatred for the monarchy, who I was taught I should love.
Right.
Why is he talking about these religious institutions in such a harsh way when I was taught I should love these institutions? And that was what segued me into that. And then I started to ask questions. So I started to go to Rastas. Why are they saying this? Why are they saying that? And then it got to a point when I was probably like 20, 21, where the Rasta man them was ducking me because I was just knocking on their door and I wanted to know this and wanted to know that. And, and then another challenge came from my father at a very young age. I was about 23. And at this time, I was still playing a lot of soccer. And then I just was frustrated, as many of us Pan-Africans get from time to time. I was like, man, Daddy, how come no one never write nothing on Bahamian history or focus on Black Bahamian history? And he just looked at me, not really with disgust, but like with what you talking about. He just sucked his teeth and said, well, why you don't do it?
Wow.
And then honestly,
there you go.
right, since then I was kind of like, you know what? I think I will begin to try to do this. And it began with me researching other Pan-African incidences, history, hanging on the words of people like John Henry Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, Sheikh Anta Diop, even Gail Saunders, Dr. Christopher Curry, who are here locally, all the Black scholars. You pull up their lectures on YouTube, I could talk that word for word, like how people could talk the Fresh Prince episodes. Like, yeah, I hang on to every word. And then it was something that happened as I got interested in the spiritual aspect and meeting my lovely wife, Ohema Tamara Davis, a.k.a. Mrs. John Canoe II now, right? And she really brought this other aspect into my life, and it just changed my life tremendously. And then it kind of galvanized me. And she came at a time when I was segueing out of sports, because I used to play beach soccer, and into history. And it was always an interest of mine. And then my son, we can see if my son, and then it was just this fire that raised in my belly. And I was like, you know what? I'm about to write this book right now.
Wow.
Then, yeah.
So I'm very curious about the name, Black Rinse. I can imagine where this is coming from. But tell us about it.
Well, this is something that is much, much needed, not just in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, in all of the Americas, and I would say the entire world. Because much of history, particularly the historical narrative, has been very, very whitewashed. And so Black Rinse is just a kind of clever spin on words that we came up with at Sankofa Flamingo. And so the history has been whitewashed. We could Black Rinse it. Best case scenario, we will have a completely revolutionized Afrocentric thing where we doing away with all them clowns like Stafford Sands and Roland Simonet. I would love to have any day to come back on the show to crush any of those two fellas, any day. But yeah. And you could bring any other person who thinks that they are national heroes, and we could get into that.
Fighting words there. Okay.
Yeah, please, because I hear a lot of people saying but sorry to.
Dwight, people now pulling out their history books because they ready.
Yeah, man,
they fight words
it's
now.
quite simple. I don't need no books. I don't need no documents. They can bring all the documents they need.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I wrote about it a little bit in here, but I don't need no books or documents. I think it should be pretty obvious. And when I explain it to the younger people who are, let's say, less indoctrinated by this thing, they pick it up like that.
Wow.
You know?
So what do you think, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but what do you think are going to be the things that stand out most to people, that are going to shock people the most about what they think about the country and what the reality is?
Two things. I make a very brave, this was something that was heavily vetted by the Smithsonian Institute, certain institutions in Ghana and throughout the world as well, and I'm not privy to say as yet. And things that will stand out to us in the Bahamas, first of all, will be the closeness and the connection that you feel. So just to pick on you for a moment, you know that many Strachan are known to have come from Kid Island, but if you really follow the plantation history, it's Rumkey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, we always say, my Strachan say we're the Rumkey Strachan, so we know that.
Well, there you go. Well, this can be even closer to home for you. You know, I don't know if I told you this before, maybe off air, but they actually had a nickname for the Strachan plantation in Ramkey. It was called Mount Misery.
Oh dear.
Okay, and of course, yeah, so how is this plantation called Mount Misery? And then you will see the names of plantations: Sans Souci, Campertown, Life.
They were plantations?
Tusculum, Blair.
Wow.
You know, and people would start to make certain connections about certain demographics. Certain people used to have land in one place, and now another people have the land in another place. You know, and we have to get unapologetic with much of this, right?
Why was it called Mount Misery?
Because it was absolutely miserable, and they had a very high death rate as well in that plantation, and it was just because it was so isolated. Several different reasons. Salt raking was a big practice on that plantation as well, which was absolutely grueling. But the other thing that will stand out to all Bahamians is how we are all of a sudden at the center not only of this John Canoe thing, but this John Canoe thing actually challenges the overall historical narrative, which is what I opened up with about Africans somehow being the only people that are blatantly blamed for their own genocide. And they don't tell you about this man, John Quao, and the Ahanta people in general. John Quao being from Princesstown in the Ahanta region, you know, and they have a long 250-year history of unequivocally fighting against the transatlantic slave trade. And of course, the first two slave ships to come directly from here to Africa came from these Ahanta people. So this is who we are culturally, and this is why we have this special connection with John Canoe.
I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people, I think probably the last time you were on the show, and every time anybody talks about it, someone keeps saying, oh, black people were the main ones in rounding up their own people, and they caused this on themselves. What do you say to folks who keep pushing that narrative?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, you have to define what black is, right? Black is a modern social construct. Africa is far more diverse than anywhere else in the world, down to the genetic level. Science has now proven that. So me and you have a greater genetic differential than me and any other Asian, Caucasian, any other person, right? So put that on the side. So why are you saying black people enslaving other black people, or capturing, I should say, other black people? Right now, Ukraine fighting Russia. They speak the same language. They have the same religion. They look the same, just as they claim Africans do, even though they don't. You understand? But we don't blanket them. Despite their lack of diversity, we don't blanket them and say, oh, well, look at these Europeans fighting Europeans, look at these whites fighting whites. We can segue to today. We don't say when the Sicilian mafia in Chicago fighting the Napolese Italian mafia. We don't say, look at this Italian on Italian, right? Because first of all, you have to define race. We don't even acknowledge who we are. We say we black. We use it for mobilization and solidarity because we have a shared experience and history. But at the end of the day, it's a social construct. And then we take this 21st century mindset, social construct, and apply it to people where it didn't exist. So it will be like when you're talking about Spartacus fighting against the Romans. Well, look at all these Italians fighting against each other. No, Italy did not exist back then. That concept was not even there, even the concept of a nation state. That's number one. Number two, you have numerous examples of Africans, Odabar Kawango being the premier one, who was also featured in this book. I featured many, including those who passed through the Bahamas, like Mary Prince and others, and Olada Equinor, who passed through the Bahamas. People who were captured in Africa, enslaved, got their freedom, went through the whole nine. If you could find me one of them that say they own people enslaved them, I will concede. Just one. Because all of them saying, and as a matter of fact, a little more than half are saying, Europeans physically came into my village and captured me. And it was known in West Africa, when you see a quote-unquote pale face or a buckra, you break off running. These are what the report's saying. They ain't breaking off running when they see another African. Furthermore, the demand for slavery happened in the West because of the decimation and destruction of indigenous American people. Now, the greater question is, and this is my view, self-hate manifests in us so greatly and so subtly sometimes that even the most learned of us, because this isn't something that just comes out of the general public. This is something that's coming out of the halls of academia as well. A bunch of foolishness where you blaming Africans for their own genocide. And of course, we swallow it up. Now, the question should be, why do we find ways to blame ourselves for our own genocide? To use a parallel, you have the crab in the barrel syndrome. They want you to believe that Africans just innately don't get along, right? but you have the crab in the barrel. So black crabs pulling each other down. Do crabs live in buckets? Do crabs live in barrels? Someone put them in the barrel.
Wow.
And as they remain in that barrel, the only way you could move anywhere is if the same person who put you in that barrel pick you up and move you, right? Get where I going?
Oh, yeah.
And then hold on, another thing now. Hold on, another thing. And you all moving in the same place. Wherever that barrel go.
Right.
So it don't matter if someone living at the top of the barrel where I get more space, Westridge, or if someone living at the bottom of the barrel where the scraps falling, one of our inner city communities, pick one. You understand? We all in the same boat. I've actually even had a discussion with somebody where they actually claimed that, well, at the end of the day, sometimes good comes out of tragedy, because it's a good thing we ain't over there in Africa. Right? You see,
Stay had a law when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. And I still hear it to this day, especially working in the museum. So we have to get serious about that. And to put it in the modern sense, this is why history is so important today. This is exactly why, in my opinion, the number one reason that every African nation, black nation, including Nigeria, who have more people than Russia, has utterly no political power on the global stage because we swallow these things up. You get African chiefs coming over here to apologize for the transatlantic slave trade that ravaged their community, and they apologizing to people who is their descendants who come from their group apologizing. It's craziness to me.
Yeah.
It's actually stupid, and that is what colonization and slavery has done to us, unfortunately.
I don't know why you're making me feel sad. I feel very sad now. I'm depressed.
Sorry.
I
apologize.
Right? Also, I have one thing before we run out of time. Where could I purchase this book?
Yeah.
It's available at the Pompey Museum. The book launch, of course, is today.
Just a few minutes, eh?
Just in a few minutes. I got a dash out from here soon, and it's going to
Can
be...
I purchase it online?
Not yet. The ebook is ready to go, but we haven't launched the ebook yet because we wanted to do that on a more global scale. We're going to be doing that over in Ghana, actually. So once you follow Sankofa Flamingo on all of our social media, you won't be able to miss it. I always keep Dwight up to abreast of what we're doing. And thank you,
Dwight, you keep me abreast.
Yes, I will.
For supporting. But anyone who wants to book, the information will be out there. We'll be out there until 6 p.m. in the Pompey Square area.
Today?
Yep. Right, until 6 p.m.
But the signing is only... What, is it
the signing all day. I could be around all day. You can ask me questions. You can come row me if you think I talking fool or,
What is the cost?
The cost in Pompey Museum is $65. Now, it may sound a little high for some, but it's almost 400 pages and it's printed in color.
A big book.
It's printed in color as well, because there are a lot of color-coded graphs. And what I want it to be, I hope that it would be almost like a Bible, historical Bible for Black Bahamians, a must-have, and of course, there will be many, many different events where people can get them at a much greater deal. And I would encourage people to come to Captain's Deck today from 2 to 6 p.m. That's where we'll be. For the most part. And the live stream for the museum event will be from 10 to 12 as well.
Hey, this is a great gift for 242 Day tomorrow, right? So you could get a copy of this.
And congrats on that too.
Hey,
it's a great concept.
Yeah. And we got to have you back. We need to have you almost monthly on the show. Let's see if we can work something out.
I appreciate it.
Christopher Davis, John Qua II.
John Canoe is back.
John Canoe is back. Thank you very much. We appreciate this. Can't wait to read this book and great stuff. And so, what's next? You are going to work on the second one? Like you've been...
the second one ready to go.
Oh yeah, okay.
And the children's one is almost ready to go. It's the children's one right now. And we have a very powerful project that's coming out. That's going to be Bahamian based, but more for the whole African diaspora, for children, actually. Yeah.
Excellent.
Black Rins for kids, if that makes sense.
That sounds very good. Again, Black Rins today, Pompey Square, get downtown and be a part of this. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to take a break and be back with business after the news. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
None of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'cause all I ever have, redemption songs.
Hi, my AC just went out and I need someone to come fix it.
I'm sorry, we're closed.
Okay, what about tomorrow?
We're only open on Thursday. And we're fully booked.
Have anything next week?
No.
Okay, when can you send someone out?
The 22nd is open.
I'll take it.
Of December 2023.
With the best medical cover for your dollar, we're like an AC technician who isn't too busy for you. CG Atlantic Medical and Life. Good like that.
Florida Auto Parts can deliver all the auto parts your car will ever need, direct from the USA and from around the world. Florida Auto Parts provides fast delivery on auto parts, and we ship throughout the Bahamas, genuine or aftermarket, new or used, and all for the best price. Call Florida Auto Parts Trusted Parts Rep on WhatsApp at 1-786-772-8777 to save on your next auto parts purchase. Florida Auto Parts, the right parts at the right price.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. And this morning, as promised, we're talking with IRCA. Quite a bit to talk with them about. Here from IRCA, we're very pleased to welcome the Regulatory Officer with the Electronic Communications Sector, Clinton Ramming, Regulatory Officer with the same thing, ECS, Rodman Delvo, and the Corporate and Consumer Relations Manager, a very familiar name to everybody here, Juan McCartney.
Hey, morning.
Juan McCartney, back in the hot seat in Guardian Radio. And our Morning Blend.
I told you you'd hear from me again. So good to be here, man. Thanks for having us.
Good to see you again. Gentlemen, just give us a second. People want to hear from Juan McCartney. So, Juan.
Sure.
Hey.
How's it going?
How's it going with you?
Good. All is well, man. It's good. I've been keeping up with Guardian Radio, so it's going swimmingly, as I can hear. And it's been very interesting to delve into the world of IRCA. Mm-hmm. They got a lot of really committed professionals who do a lot of meticulous work, and my job is to really make sure that the public starts to better understand what IRCA is and what IRCA does. Mm-hmm. And so that's part of what this is this morning. I want to make people aware when we have regulations and consultations that are out for the public and how it impacts them and how they can respond, and try to, as best I can, answer any questions about IRCA. Now, I want you to note I brought my 2 electronic communications sector experts with me, but I didn't bring any energy sector experts with me. That's because we can't talk about a specific thing, but we'll try to
roast BPL today.
You can do whatever you like. I just may not be able to give you an expert answer.
Okay. So next time for that.
No, but you can ask questions about BPL to the extent that, IRCA's involvement with BPL.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So people losing their minds hearing you right now, but that's okay. That's okay. All right. But I was talking to you about this off air, and Laverne, no, I don't think you were on that day. But a few weeks ago, we had the head of BRIA, the Bahamas Real Estate Association, on, and it came up about rental properties and how people are charging.
Yeah, I was there.
You were, yeah, okay. $900 for a little efficiency.
Right,
people are like, somebody texted in. Yeah, ERCA needs to do something about these landlords and these high prices. And we were all in shock. And and as we said, either the real estate folks or ERCA has to do a job letting people know who's responsible for what. So let people know what ERCA is really all about, and what you do and what you don't do.
Right. Well, I have no idea who's responsible for rent control, but I know that ERCA was formed in 2009 to regulate the electronic communications sector, and eventually in 2015 we began regulating the energy sector. So the Electricity Act 2015, the Communications Act, the National Communications Policy, the National Energy Policy, those and the ERCA Act dictate how ERCA operates. So we regulate energy, we regulate electronic communications. That's it, and those are really, really big areas.
Big.
So all things electronic communications, all things energy, and those two are often codependent on each other. And so there's a lot of work that goes on to make sure that the sector is being properly regulated.
Yeah. So do you get weird requests like that? People
Since
say,
I've been there, certainly, yes, all the time. And so it's just a matter of explaining to people what our role actually is and what it is that we actually do.
Okay. All right. So, there are a couple things that you all want to focus on, and we want to talk about those, and we have some questions for you as well. But this is definitely very interesting, a national alert warning system.
Right.
Let's talk about that. Do we not have anything like that in place now? And then we can get into what this is going to do.
We do have something in place now. This is Clinton could explain to you what is actually in place now.
Clinton Remy.
Yes, very pleasant. Good morning. So currently we do have the National Alert Warning System, and it is a system where we have the national security and the service providers. They work together to disseminate alerts in the event of emergency situations, including alerts related to a child abduction or child missing. This is something that is still ongoing works to this system, and we believe that the system is in the national interest of the Bahamas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And certainly one that we are supporting with our draft regulations today.
Yeah. So, is there like a holdup? Is something keeping it back? It seems pretty simple.
Well, part of ERCA's mandate is to help protect life and property through the electronic communications sector. And the government has expressed a will, successive governments, but the current government as well, and our job is to help facilitate policy and help them understand how that could work. They've expressed the will to have a national alert warning system for several reasons, and it's really being driven by the Ministry of National Security, the Ministry of Health, and the Office of the Prime Minister. So you would remember when the Marcos law was passed, a part of that was supposed to be alerts. Also, we had Hurricane Dorian occur, and there was a need to send alerts in real time, and a lot of them got that, but it wasn't so targeted as probably it should have been to be effective. And then we had the pandemic, and we had health alerts going on in real time with different islands, et cetera. So what Clinton, Rodman, and the guys behind the scenes have done is propose a framework that could facilitate all of that.
Right.
So national alerts when there are national emergencies, emergency alerts specific to particular islands and areas, and also Marcos alerts when children go missing and there's a need to communicate that swiftly. And there's a system to facilitate the messages that go along with those alerts. And that's all in the draft regulations that these guys are so carefully crafted, and they want feedback from licensees, from stakeholders. And it's very technical in some respects, but it's very important in an overall aspect, because we do want to see a system where alerts can get to the people they need to get to as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Yeah. So who would coordinate all of this? Like, will they come from the different agencies and ERCA put it out there, or will each be directly sending out the alerts? How would that work exactly?
You want to
Rodman?
Yeah.
Well, the entity in charge of coordinating activities in that involves the alert is the Ministry of National Security. So they will work together with other stakeholders, such as, say, the Met Department, NEMA, and the service providers to ensure that the message gets out to the public, especially in the different specific locations that are expected to be impacted by an emergency situation.
Right. Now, Robin, you're going to say?
I was just going to add to that. As the regulator for the electronic communications sector in the Bahamas, we are mandated to prepare and regulatory measures such as the National Alert Warning System that affect the electronic communications sector, and especially in the fact that our licensees rather are going to be heavily involved in the trafficking of these messages via cell phone and other broadcast platforms.
Yeah. Any timeline for this? What are we looking at?
So 1 year from the publication of the regulations, our licensees are expected to comply with the regulations. And the reason why we're giving that much time, we believe that there may still be some kinks, some bugs that needs to be worked out after the draft regulation has been published. And we believe that would give them sufficient time. And also the technology partners. You have Apple and Google, who are the owners of the operating system of the mobile devices. They would also have time to send out to configure the updates to be in compliance with the regulations set out by IRCA.
Yeah, all right. So I've noticed that while some people get alerts, I don't get any. Have you heard that before? Why would that be the case?
Yes, I've definitely heard that before. I was just telling Warren this morning, I've never gotten an alert myself. And so...
Are we on a blacklist or something? What's going on?
No, that's not the case. So one of the reasons why you may not have gotten alerts in the past is because some alerts are location specific. They are based on the location where one is about to perhaps be impacted by an emergency situation.
Okay.
So let's say that a hurricane is threatening Crooked Island or Inagua. So persons in those jurisdictions would perhaps receive alerts that those of us in Nassau, Grand Bahama, and Bimini may not receive.
Okay.
So just to put a fine point on it, IRCA doesn't run the National Alert Warning System. So IRCA is working with the government, with Cable Bahamas, with BTC, and with different ministries. And critically, as Clinton pointed out, with Apple and Android to put in place an electronic National Alert Warning System that's run by the Ministry of National Security. So they're going to be making those determinations. So if you look at the draft regulations, you got national alerts. These alerts can be issued by the Prime Minister or the Prime Minister's designate or by the Minister of National Security, all right? So a national alert is something that's going to go out nationwide when you have an environmental disaster, biological disaster or emergency, such as a pandemic, or some sort of man-made event that's going on, and the entire nation can be alerted simultaneously. The other class, the second class of alert is an emergency alert. An emergency alert, again, can be issued by the Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, or the National Emergency Management Agency. Now, emergency alerts are restricted to islands. So, for example, you had a forest fire on Andros yesterday or day before. You could issue, in theory, an emergency alert to Andros and alert people that there's a fire, a brush fire, a forest fire going on. And that would, again, come from the relevant government entity. The Marcos alert, again, is issued by the Minister of National Security or the Royal Bahamas Police Force. So the Child Protection Act already allows for the Commissioner of Police to send out an alert if a child is reported missing. All right. So those are the types of alerts. IRCA just establishes the framework. The government actually deals with the alerts.
Yeah.
All right. We just make sure the framework is in place and everybody's operating within it.
Right. So you're looking for feedback. Who are you looking to respond to this? Just the companies, or the wider public as well?
Everyone.
Everybody.
It impacts everyone.
Yeah.
It impacts everyone because everyone's mobile device will have the capacity to receive the alerts. And so we want to make sure we get feedback from all stakeholders. So not only the Cable Bahamas and BTC and the relevant government entities, but also the public as well.
Yeah.
And just to add to that point that Juan just made, electronic communication services is increasingly becoming a really important utility, and therefore it is important for the public at large to contribute and to review our documents that we put out, to make sure that we put out the most well-informed documents, including the views of not only our licensees, but also the general public, because it affects them as well.
Right. How do people go about doing that? Where can they find the document, and how can they get you their comments on it?
Sure, you can find the document at ircabahamas.bs, and you'll just look for consultations and regulations, all right? And you'll find the draft regulations for the National Alert Warning System, and you can download it, peruse it. You can write back with feedback by hand. You can drop it off at Frederick Street, at Frederick House on Frederick Street. You can mail it, P.O. Box N4860. You can fax it if you're so inclined. But the easiest way to do it is to just email us at info@ircabahamas.bs.
Do you get
info@ircabahamas.bs.
good response from the public when you do these things? Because you do these often, don't you?
We haven't gotten a healthy response from this so far. So we want to make sure that people are aware that it's out there, and the deadline is the 28th of February. So we'd urge people to take a look at it. If they have an interest in it, and if they have some ideas about what may make the regulations more effective, then by all means, please let us know.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent stuff. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we've got a whole lot.
No, you're still making us stay.
Yeah.
Stay for a while.
Just a few more minutes.
Okay.
Some questions, some concerns.
You're going to have a big Clinton and Rodman never coming with me again.
Text messages, too. So we've got a lot to talk about with it.
Sure.
Okay. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Get your Carifta tickets. The 58th Carifta Games is coming. April 7th to April 10th. Tickets are on sale now. Online at Carifta50.com or at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium, Western Grand Entrance. For more details, email tickets at Carifta50.com or call 605-4051.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Whether your business is in-store, on the go, or both, let Fidelity work with you to maximize your customers' payment options with a fixed or mobile terminal so that you never miss a sale. It's safer than cash and more convenient so that you can take your business anywhere. For details, contact a business development officer today at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport, or visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
We're back here with Morning Gun Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner, and we are talking with Urca Bahamas. We've got Clinton Ramming and Rodman Delaveau and Juan McCartney with us this morning. And we've got quite a few interesting questions here so far. People are calling names of companies that they have issues with. I don't know if we should do that. But what should happen if you have a complaint with a service provider?
Well, if you have an issue with your service provider that IRCA regulates, the first step is to make sure and contact your service provider with the issue. So don't bypass your service provider. IRCA is not the Consumer Complaints Department for BPL or CBL or BTC. IRCA is going to do its best to make sure that these licensees are doing what they're supposed to do. So first step, always lodge your complaint with your service provider. Try your best to get a tracking number or the name of the person you spoke with, the date, etc. Get as much information as you can. Give your service provider a chance to resolve the issue. So
how long of a chance?
I would say give them at least a few days, depending on the severity of the situation. So we do have some situations that are more severe than others, where an elderly person or a disabled person is without communications or without power, and the situation isn't getting resolved within a 24-hour period. Then sometimes we will try to make sure that the complaint is facilitated in an emergency situation. But give them a few days to try to resolve your complaint. And if you call back and your complaint's still not resolved and you're not getting the resolution that you want, then you can make a complaint to IRCA. You can walk in to IRCA, Frederick House on Frederick Street, as I said. But the swiftest way is to actually email info@ircabahamas.com. Or you can call the IRCA hotline. But the emails are incredibly efficient because we can forward those along to the service providers and kind of create a paper trail of what's happening.
Does IRCA and can IRCA act without a complaint from the public? Do you see things, you all live here, do you see things and say, okay, this is insane, this can't continue to happen? Does that happen at all?
We can act if we see that there is something that is amiss. So in the case of frequent power outages, in the case of we ourselves notice that there are lapses in electronic communication services, we can, of our own impetus, launch an investigation. We can also do that in terms of broadcasting in other areas as well. So yes, we can.
Yeah. Well, all right. We were talking about it quite a bit a few months ago with Junkanoo when one operator decided to block out another network, and it was chaos and madness, and people were calling for investigations, but we haven't heard anything from IRCA. I don't know if you can say where things stand with that at this time. I'm sure you know what we're talking about with Cable Bahamas and what happened with Z&S at Junkanoo.
Right.
Is there an investigation underway? What's happening there? What can you tell us about that?
There's no investigation underway. That was resolved among the parties before IRCA had any opportunity to investigate anything.
Oh, okay. Well, should the public know about that, or should that be?
They would have to ask the parties involved. They would have to ask Cable Bahamas and Z&S.
Yeah. Okay. This person says
because
here,
we never investigated.
Right. Wow. We've emailed IRCA many occasions and I got no response. What do you say to someone who had that experience?
I couldn't speak to what has happened previously, but I urge you to email info@ircabahamas.bs, and you can be assured that we will at least acknowledge that we received your email. That's part of the priority we have, is strengthening the complaints handling process, and we also have new software to make that process smoother. You can also call IRCA at 392-5200 and 396. Sorry, 396. It's still fresh. 396-5200, and you can lodge your complaint there. You can ask for me if you'd like, but we have a complaints handling officer as well, Tamandra. So, but call us if you don't get any response from email. We're trying to be very, very responsive to the needs of consumers. There are times we can help, and there are some things that don't fall under our remit, but we're going to try to point you in the right direction.
Okay. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, the best talk show host, Juan McCartney.
Thank you. That's in the previous lifetime.
you almost forget my voice, so you get so big shot out there.
Okay.
But listen, I must say, from my perspective, do a wonderful job I remember I had a complaint with my the provider. They not only get them to answer to my complaint, but they get them to compensate me. So I want to give special thanks to Ms. Pratt Sandia. She was able to resolve the problem. So I must say, it works. And if you have a problem with your providers, go to Erica. They will resolve the problem. Trust me on that. Let me ask you one question and hang up. Any other new telecommunication company coming, or TV station or local station, you could answer them when they come. When I hang up, Dwight.
Hey.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, that last question is pretty interesting. We know that I think there was out for the companies to respond to whether the market should open up for a third provider.
For a third mobile operator, yeah.
Right.
That's one of the things that they are looking at this year, the electronic communications sector. I'd have to ask Clinton or Rodman.
We were mandated.
I'll talk right into that mic.
Sorry, we were mandated under the when the license was issued to Alive to conduct an assessment of the feasibility of a third mobile operator. That exercise has been conducted, and I'm sure. I think there's talks with the government in terms of the results of that exercise on the way forward.
Mm-hmm. So we'll hear soon, hopefully.
Well, that really is a government decision. We are really just there to advise the government. We undertook the assessment to advise the government, and that will be up for the government to determine.
That would be determined by the policymaker if they were to want to pursue that.
Yeah.
Right. But in terms of what new is coming, I couldn't speak publicly to what licenses would be in process within IRCA.
Yeah.
That's confidential information. I'm sure you wouldn't want us talking your information out there. So
Yeah.
until the applications are actually approved and the entities are licensed, then it becomes public knowledge.
Yeah. I remember with that consultation, one of the companies said the country will have to decide whether they want a third provider or 5G, and it's got to be one or the other. Does IRCA have a policy on this, a stance on this matter? Because it seems like we are being left behind in the 5G revolution. What can you tell us?
Well, we are in the midst of conducting a public consultation on 5G, actually. So really it is looking at the use cases and the demand for 5G in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
So we're well advanced in that. We conducted in December focus group meetings. We invited various stakeholders across various sectors in the Bahamas, tourism, healthcare, government, and all of that. We also conducted telephone surveys, randomly selected persons across the islands to inform our decisions. So now we've collected the data, and now we are now producing our document, which should be out for public consultation. We're aiming for by the end of the first quarter to get feedback from to put our views on the current use cases and demands for 5G in any measures that we think could help get us along to 5G and other advanced telecommunications technology. But you have to remember that IRCA is technology neutral, so we don't push any one technology.
Okay.
We have certain mandates that we other objectives that we are set out to follow, and that we try to facilitate our licensees and other stakeholders in providing quality services through the consumers.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. This is a question.
I have a
Laverne?
question.
Yep.
Just on that. Sorry. Good morning. Juan, it's always good to hear your voice on the radio.
Thank you. You too.
I just wanted to say that. But also in your data collection for 5G, and I know you're not promoting it in any way, are you able to say at this point, was there like a really big demand, let's say amongst business community and other agencies, whether it's health services or other industries, to have 5G?
I don't want to speak
available.
I don't want to speak before the document comes out, but I would say that based on the consultations that we had, there were certain pockets within the sector that indicated a demand for 5G.
Yeah, I think one of the things that came, and this is another project that we're undertaking this year, is the quality of service framework. So one of the things that came out of the 5G consultation was just a basic desire for quality broadband services, quality electronic communication services. And so 5G is important, and we're technology neutral, as you said, but really we have to straddle the fence of moving along technology, but making sure that we're actually providing quality of service consistently throughout the entire nation. And it's difficult because it's an archipelago, but quality of service is critical, but 5G is something that we're exploring.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this and leave 5G alone because, there are some providers who say that you do have 5G available, but I'm just saying in my observation, that light is flashing more than it's constant. So it's...
Somebody's saying they have 5G or you mean
Yeah.
4G? Because we're barely getting that one.
No, 5G, they claim. They're claiming that
Here?
you have 5G, but like I'm saying,
Not here,
that light
though.
is typically flashing.
Not here, though. Nobody's claiming that one yet. Right? No, unless it's different in Grand Bahama, but definitely not here. No, not here. But
Okay,
yeah.
I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, please, because maybe they're saying 5 times the speed, but they're saying 5G. But okay, this texter is, please send that one, Laverne. This person is saying this is about renewable energy, I guess, and solar. Can you ask why the company that can barely provide electricity to the entire country gives the approvals for applications to, I guess, to solarize your home? Is that still the case? Explain that to us.
Well, again, I didn't bring my energy sector experts with me, but if you're we're focused on small energy generation as well as renewable energy, and to do that, you would be licensed through ERCA. But of course, BTC maintains the grid, and so they do need to make sure
BPL.
BPL, maintains the grid, so they do need to make sure that your home is up to standard if you're going to be operating on the grid. And you have to operate on the grid.
Right. All right. Radio, the radio market. We're seeing we're losing more and more of the companies. They're folding up and stuff like that. Where do things stand right now? What do people need to know? Are there licenses available now? I know there was a moratorium for New Providence. What can you tell us about that aspect?
Well, I think the licenses are issued if there is spectrum available. I think in 2021, 2 additional licenses were issued. In terms of the availability of licenses at the moment, I can't speak to that. Perhaps our broadcasting manager, would be able to, speak to us whether or not, licenses are available.
Yeah.
Yes, and just to add, I would encourage anyone to certainly submit an application if they wish to, if they're seeking to have a FM radio license here in New Providence or outside of Nassau, pretty much in any other family islands.
Okay.
I'm not aware at this time that there is a moratorium, so persons may apply,
You can apply.
and we will see if there is spectrum available to issue a license here in New Providence.
And Bradley Gibson, I think you know Bradley. He's our broadcasting manager. One of the things he's doing is also conducting a review of licenses as well. So that's something that he'll be doing this year.
Yeah. All right. So remind folks about the National Alert Warning System and what they need to do to give their views on it and how to reach out to ERCA for any issues.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, you can call us at 396-5200, or you can email us at info@ercabahamas.bs. You can call and ask from me if you'd like, if you have a legitimate question pertaining to ERCA.
Put that in there.
Right? And I will help to direct you to the appropriate party. But for the National Alert Warning System, we encourage you to go to the website, ercabahamas.bs. You can look at the draft regulations there. You can try to understand the scope of what it is that we're proposing, and you can send feedback info@ercabahamas.bs, or you can just bring us your feedback, walk in and bring us your feedback, written feedback at Frederick House on Frederick Street, all right, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Right.
Yeah, by the National Alert Warning System, it's important, and we're hoping that it's something that can actually protect lives and protect property, and it's important that people understand that what ERCA is doing is trying to make life better for everyone in the Bahamas.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. And remember, folks, IRCA does not have anything to do with landlords and the high rents they charge. All right?
No, you have to go to Consumer Protection for them.
Well, they
were just on the news last week. There's an incident in Abaco where there was, landlords charging an exorbitant amount for one bedroom or an efficiency, and a representative from Consumer Protection spoke to that.
Yeah. I don't know if there's much they can do there, but hey, Clinton Ramming, Rodman Delvo, and Juan McCartney, thank you
Thanks so much,
all for
Dwight.
being here this morning.
Great to see you
Appreciate
again.
it.
All right, thank you.
We're going to take a break and be back. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Whether your business is in-store, on the go, or both, let Fidelity work with you to maximize your customers' payment options with a fixed or mobile terminal so that you never miss a sale. It's safer than cash and more convenient so that you can take your business anywhere. For details, contact a business development officer today at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport, or visit our website at fidelitygroup.com.
Introducing the new Tortilla Lime Crunch Chicken Sandwich from Wendy's! And I have a little bit of everything: avocado, taco mayo, pickles, and crunchy tortillas on top of a delicious breaded chicken fillet. Yes, try it and add our all-new Dave's Craft Lemonade to your combo. Wendy's, different inside and out.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It is time for your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL. Prime Minister Philip Davis indicating that the government has paid off the majority of the $1 billion in liabilities he claimed a year ago were left unpaid by the previous administration. Shortly after taking office, Davis revealed that it had engaged accounting firm Deloitte to check the government's accounts, claiming that the Minnis administration did not account for $1 billion in liabilities in its pre-election report and fiscal update report. However, at the time, he did not provide the details or specifics about it during his mid-year budget communication in the House yesterday. Davis said up to the halfway point of the fiscal year, the government's unpaid bills totaled a mere $90.7 million. Prime Minister Davis also hailing the government's value-added tax reduction from 12% to 10% in 2021 as a successful economic boost, explaining that in the first 6 months of the current fiscal year, VAT receipts grew by $23.7 million when compared to the same period the previous fiscal year. Davis saying that the strategy is working, and he chided the opposition for their early criticism of the plan to reduce VAT in order to increase consumer spending. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper says that the United States Department of Transportation rejected a discrimination complaint by Airlines for America, a lobbying group that represents major North American airlines. That group had been saying the Bahamas and the government of the Bahamas employs unfair practices when charging overflight fees to U.S. carriers. In December, 8 U.S. airlines, including American Airlines, Atlas Air Worldwide, Delta Airlines, FedEx, JetBlue, Southwest Airlines, United Airlines, and UPS filed a joint complaint through Airlines for America, claiming that the fees here were unjust, discriminatory, anti-competitive, and unreasonable. They allege that the Bahamas is levying astronomical charges for air navigation services that exceed the cost of the Bahamas of providing those services. Cooper saying yesterday, though, that the DOT recognized the sovereignty of the Bahamas to charge and collect its fees. It has requested further consultation on those fees. The DOT raised questions about the methodology used to assess the fees, though, and is seeking to have a clearer understanding of the matter through bilateral consultations at the state level under the provisions of the Air Transport Agreement that exists between the Bahamas and the U.S. You can read more on this story in today's Guardian Business section. The Bahamian Contractors Association no longer waiting for the government to issue licenses to Bahamian contractors. That's according to Association President Leonard Sands. He says the BCA will begin to issue the licenses themselves within the next 2 weeks. Sands says that while doctors, lawyers, and even accountants used to the contractors used to certify their books for tax purposes and validated by a licensing process, contractors have been made to wait. He lamented that anyone who asks for a business license as a contractor or receives it can begin to work on the built environment without any kind of professional body ensuring that person knows what they're doing. He explained that no government has had the wherewithal to appoint the Construction Contractors Board called for the Construction Contractors Bill passed in 2016. And environmental group Save the Bays is calling for a pause in the sale of Equinor's South Riding Point facility until the company has completed the cleaning of the oil spill that happened after Hurricane Dorian. STB in a statement saying that it has overseen the cleanup effort by Equinor since 2019 and maintains that the cleanup is not complete at the compound. Equinor revealed a statement on Tuesday that it has entered an agreement with European liquid fuels terminal operator Lewathon for the sale of the South Riding Point facility. Equinor explains that they completed the cleanup of hydrocarbons in the area outside the facility, but does not mention the state of the facility itself. Overseas, the U.S. economy expanded at a 2.7% annual rate from October through December, a solid showing, despite rising interest rates and elevated inflation. Thursday, the government saying this today in a downgrade from its initial estimate. The government had previously estimated that the economy grew at a 2.9% annual rate last quarter. The Commerce Department's revised estimate for the fourth quarter's gross domestic product marked a deceleration from 3.2% growth from July through September. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Wednesday, your market movers: Commonwealth Bank moving 16,500 shares, closing at $3.58 unchanged. Focall moving 9,900, down 4 cents, closing at $3.94. Consolidated Water unchanged at $3.06. Emera Incorporated down 17 cents, closing at $9.78. The BISX All Share Index closing at 2,582.10, down 1.85. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And we are back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. And Laverne, okay, so I told you about this earlier in the show. I've been meaning to talk about this since Monday, to tell you the truth, but it just had so many issues, like the Prime Minister's national address and many great guests over the past few days. Just haven't had time to get to it, but we must do this today. Our very own Jared Higgs asked a wonderful question at the CARICOM meeting last week. And you need to listen to this, folks. Take a listen to this.
There are some who call for France to pay reparations to Haiti, given the independence tax France imposed on Haiti after the Haitian Revolution in the early 1800s. Some experts say that tax was detrimental to Haiti's progress in its earlier years. Former French President Francois Hollande said in 2015 that France owes a moral debt to Haiti, but he stopped short of admitting the need for France to pay reparations to Haiti. Does CARICOM believe that France should pay reparations to Haiti?
Well, as you know, CARICOM has taken a decision to establish a mechanism to engage all former colonial countries, masters, on the question of reparation. And each country were mandated to also establish a national reparations committee to engage in this subject. This is a global subject. And of course, Haiti is part of the Caribbean community and the global architecture. And no doubt, Haiti's current situation, you know, part of it has to do with its history and the way it was treated as the first country which saw the emancipation of slaves. And so the discussion on reparation, including reparations for the Haitian people, you know, are all part of the discussions that we're having at the Caribbean community level on this question. I mean, there's no doubt we believe as Caribbean people that some kind of recompense need to be provided to us for the many atrocities of slavery in our region. And so on the question of reparations to Haiti, it forms part of the CARICOM's consideration and concern in respect to our historic of assistance, but they're never forthcoming. And the reality is we continue to confront the rapid impacts of climate change on our islands and the sheer cost of reconstructing after a natural disaster like this. We've been experiencing here in the Bahamas. You're known to this almost on a daily basis in one form or the other. And so the number of injustices that we're facing as developing world, and the reality is time is not on our side to have them addressed. And so these are things that continue to occupy our minds, and we have discussed these matters, and they'll continue to be discussed. We'll continue to engage at the regional level, but also at the national levels as well, and engage the former colonial masters on the issue, on the question of reparations for countries. And what form it takes is a matter for us to determine that in consultation with those concerns.
As a follow-up,
I just want to say, and to add to that, there will be a subcommittee of the Prime Minister's Subcommittee on Reparations meeting shortly, but we do take note as well of the fact that the Netherlands has started the ball. Is it adequate? Is it appropriate? All of that may be the subject of many discussions and agreement and disagreement. But suffice it to say that at least the ball has started to roll with respect to the Netherlands statement. I think they need to go further, and I think that our engagement with Europe has to be at a level where, as I said, we place these matters for mature consideration, recognizing that we are the victims now of a double jeopardy, as Prime Minister Skerritt just said, that it was the blood, sweat, and tears of our people that financed the Industrial Revolution, and it is the very same consequences of the Industrial Revolution that are causing us now this existential crisis.
Never forthcoming. And the reality is we continue to confront the rapid impacts of climate change on our islands and the sheer cost of reconstructing after a natural disaster like this. We've been experiencing here in the Bahamas. You're known to this. There is a new offer in in one form or the other assistance. And so the number of injustices that we're facing as developing world, and the reality is time is not on our side to have them addressed. And so these are things that continue to occupy our minds, and we have discussed these matters, and they'll continue to be discussed. We'll continue to engage at the regional level, but also at the national levels as well, and engage the former colonial masters on the issue, on the question of reparations for countries. And what form it takes is a matter for us to determine that in consultation with those concerns.
As a form.
Okay. That's Jared Higgs asking that question at the CARICOM heads of government meeting there. And you heard from the Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerrit, and the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Motley. And so interesting discussion there. And especially as it relates to Haiti and the colonial masters, as you heard that phrase used there. Let's quickly get your reaction to that, folks. A lot of people downplay the role that what France did to Haiti has had on the country and where it finds itself, right? And I don't think we really should do that at all. What they were dealt was a very, very dirty hand.
Absolutely, it was crippling.
Yeah, and they
to get independence and then to have to essentially buy or pay for your independence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they defeated France. They won the war and they won their independence, but were made to pay basically war reparations. And as you said, to buy the right to be recognized by other countries, because the other countries were not going to have anything to do with Haiti at all.
And that's the thing too. It wasn't just France saying this.
Right.
Other countries, while they didn't require Haiti to pay them anything, they said that we would not recognize you.
Yeah, including the country.
Yes.
Of our own monarch, right? The United Kingdom and the United States, many others.
They refused to acknowledge Haiti as a sovereign state until they began making those payments to France.
Yeah, and that continued well into the 20th century. And and France has said nothing. People say, give the money back, some of the money back, forgive their debt, something.
France, I think we all know France's stance, and they're not even interested in doing that.
So a few years, it's been at least 2 years now when I first suggested it, and the backlash was interesting. People were like, this is dumb, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? But I'm saying we have to do something. We have to, right? Not just for ourselves and for the UK or whatever, but for Haiti. And this is challenging us, right? This is impacting us directly.
But
little things that we can do.
And then I know we're out of time. The question is, why is that so ridiculous to ask that of France if it was okay for certain other countries to receive payment for the inconvenience of the abolition of slavery up until 2016?
Well, people say it's the past. It's ages ago, and none of those people are alive today. Why would we do this? So this is what we've said, right? We need to show our support and solidarity. And perhaps one way that people will pay a lot of attention to is if people of this diaspora, people everywhere, the Western Hemisphere, anybody touched by slavery, perhaps we should boycott one of the big things, the upcoming Olympics next year. This is what I've said before, and this would show something. And I know people were saying, well, but that's not fair to these athletes who've been training for years. And this is, it's not fair. Being enslaved is not fair either. And being made to do what Haiti had to do was not fair. And it has had impacts on all of us to this very day, right? We are struggling here in the Bahamas because of this. Again, Haiti likely was the most valuable, the jewel of the entire Western Hemisphere up to that point. And, all right, something has to be done. Something has to be done.
Yeah, we have to collectively send a message.
And Mia Motley's points are spot on, right? We are paying the price for everything that has happened, including now climate change. But we need to continue this conversation. It is going to, make people uncomfortable. It definitely will. But how will this ever get resolved? Think about it. Realistically, how will Haiti be fixed? Can you think of any way? What?
No.
This text here before we go, the person says, Dwight, I don't mean to be a tool, oh boy, about the topic, but I never got the reparation thing. You know how long ago slavery was? You know France ain't paying no money. Yeah. Well, I invite you to do some reading. And see how much
was long ago, but not long enough. And we have to begin to look at the impact of slavery that is still with us today. And so perhaps if we educate ourselves by, watch this, Dwight, purchasing a copy of Black Rents, we'll get a better understanding of how it has impacted us, and it continues to impact us today.
There is no doubt that what happened to Haiti is the biggest part of the reason why it is in the state it is in today. There's no doubt. The countries that waited patiently and were shooed out the door by their colonial masters are in a different state, very different state from the one that said, we ain't doing this no more. And they had to suffer as a result of that. And
we were punished for it.
And we were made to think that those folks who act up in that way deserve everything they get. So, if we really expect things to change down there, the spotlight might need to be on France. But again, there's a way that you can show that you are not pleased with what they've done, and we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. That will be something. Would you even watch the Olympics if certain people weren't there? Certain types of people weren't there? All of them aren't there? Would you watch it? Would anyone care? Would they have the Olympics anymore?
That's a very good point.
Laverne, always a pleasure.
There's certain aspects of it you wouldn't even tune into.
No, I don't think they could even do it. I don't think they could even do it. Anyway, we'll continue to talk about this. Laverne, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
I'll be back tomorrow morning on 242 Day. Everybody, wear your colors. Do something amazing. Have conch, souse, switch up, whatever. Tomorrow, 242 Day. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green next.
Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.